Hello everyone, welcome you back to the science class. I hope you all are doing good. So dear students, as you all know, these days we are doing revision work of different chapters. So today also in this video we shall be doing the revision work of chapter nutrition in plants. So this video is the continuation of the previous one. Means in the previous video also we have discussed some of the topic of the same chapter, and today also we shall be continuing with the same chapter but with different topics. Okay, so today date is 19th September 2020. So before that, let's discuss the objectives. At the end of the class, students would able to understand the gist of the chapter and various underlying concepts of this chapter. So let's start with the small intestine. So dear students, in the previous class we have discussed about the human alimentary canal and its different parts. So we have discussed that the human alimentary canal, it is having different parts like mouth and buccal cavity, esophagus, then stomach. We have discussed all these three parts in the previous class. So today we shall be continuing with the small intestine, large intestine and different kinds of glands which are associated with the human digestive system. So let's start with the small intestine. The small intestine is a highly coiled structure. The length of the small intestine is almost 7.5 meter. So you see it is highly coiled and the length is 7.5 meter. The liver and pancreas release digestive juices into the small intestine. So the two glands specifically which are associated with the small intestine are the liver and the pancreatic gland. They secrete digestive juices and they release these digestive juices into the small intestine. The inner lining of the intestine also secretes some digestive juices on its own. The small intestine breaks the carbohydrate into glucose, fats into fatty acids and proteins into amino acid. So you can see in small intestine the breakdown of carbohydrate occurs, the breakdown of fats occurs and the breakdown of proteins into amino acid also occurs. Okay. Let's discuss something related to the liver and the pancreas. So these two glands are associated with the small intestine. About the liver, it's a gland reddish brown in color. It is known as the largest gland of the human body. So you need to remember this, and it secretes bile juice. The bile juice is stored in the gallbladder and the bile juice makes it possible for the body to digest the fat. So please remember, liver is the largest gland which is reddish brown in color, and it secretes bile juice, but the gallbladder only stores this bile juice and whose main function is to digest the fats. Now next is pancreas. So the pancreas also, it's a gland, it's a cream colored gland present in the human body. It secretes pancreatic juice that helps in digestion of fats, carbohydrates and proteins. This is the most important thing which you need to really remember, is that the pancreatic juice helps in digestion of fats, carbohydrates and proteins. Now children, we are discussing about the small intestine and we must know about the process of absorption. Okay. Absorption means it's a process by which the digested food enters the blood vessels of the small intestine. So children, here if you can see in this drawing, these blue and the red colored some pipe-like structures, these are nothing but the blood vessels which are present in the villi. So villi is nothing but the finger-like finger-like structures which we find in the small intestine. Villi in the intestine. The small intestine contains small finger-like structures called villi. They increases the surface area of the intestine. Now what is the function of this villi? They used to increase the surface area of the intestine and thereby it increases the amount of absorption. Okay, the digested food gets into the blood vessels through villi and then reaches to the whole body. So it plays a vital role. So villi we get in the small intestine, and then no, the small intestine plays a vital role. It increases the surface area of absorption. As a result, absorption is more. As a result, no, the absorption is also more as it increases the surface area of absorption. So now let's discuss about the large intestine, and which is the last part of the alimentary canal. Any food that is left undigested passes through the small intestine and enters the large intestine. I hope you know that. And it's a wide tube-like structure and of only 1.5 meter long. The main function of the large intestine is to absorb water and salts from the undigested food. So please remember, it absorbs water and salt from the undigested food. The rest of the waste undigested food passes through the rectum. Now here the process of egestion occurs. Egestion means expelling out of the waste from the body. The process by which the waste undigested food, the fecal matter, get out of the body through the anus. So this is the last step of human digestion. So the digestion starts in the mouth and ends in the anus. So through the anus, the undigested food in the form of fecal matter, it is expelled out of the body. So children, till here only it was all about human digestion. So now we will be discussing about digestion in grass-eating animal, which is totally different from the human digestion. So in this children, this is this type of digestion, basically it occurs in ruminant. Means the ruminant are nothing but the grass-eating animals, specifically the cow and the buffaloes. Okay. So these animals, they have a specific type of digestive system. Here the stomach, it is having 4 chambers. Okay. Out of that chamber, rumen is the most important one, where it's a kind of sac-like structure present between the food pipe and the small intestine in grass-eating animals like cows and buffaloes. So children, you can see here, this is the rumen part, which is located between the esophagus and the small intestine. Okay, so that is very much important. So you know, a very specific thing about this ruminant is that they used to buy the grass. Okay, they keep them in their mouth, but initially they don't chew it. Directly they used to swallow it, and again they bring that back into their mouth and they keeps on chewing and chewing. So this is a very specific process in the ruminant, among the ruminant. So now we shall be discussing about all these terms. So rumen, as I told you, it's a sac-like structure present between the food pipe and the small intestine in grass-eating animals like cows and buffaloes. At first, the animals do not chew their food and instead swallow it. This partially digested food is stored in the rumen. So this partially digested food is stored in the rumen. Okay. Now what is cud? The partially digested food present in the rumen is called cud. Now what is rumination? Rumination means the cud returns to the mouth in these animals and then they chew it. This is called rumination. So rumination is the process in which these animals, they bring back the partially digested food from the rumen part to their mouth and they keeps on continuously chewing it. So that process is called rumination. And the animals that swallow their food at first and then chew it later on are called ruminant. So please remember about the ruminant, rumination. Rumination is the process of chewing the food, okay? The cud after bringing back again into the mouth. So that is the process. Ruminant are the animals, those who perform the process of rumination. So grass-eating animals can digest cellulose while other several animals cannot. So there's a very specific thing about the grass-eating animal is that they can digest the grass. They digest cellulose while several animals cannot. These animals have a different types of bacteria present in the stomach that helps in digesting the cellulose. So why they are able to digest the cellulose? Due to the presence of a bacteria which is present in their stomach. So now let's discuss about feeding and digestion in amoeba. So children, amoeba are nothing but the small microscopic single-celled organism. Okay. So the amoeba is a microscopic organism which is made up of only one cell. The amoeba has a cell membrane. Okay, this is the cell membrane. Inside is the cytoplasm and nucleus. This is the nucleus at the center. and the small are nothing but the vacuoles. The amoeba is capable of changing its shape and position on its own. So very typical characteristic of amoeba is that it is able to change its shapes and position. Okay, it uses false teeth called pseudopodia. So children, this is pseudopodia. These finger-like structures are called the pseudopodia, or they are also said as the false teeth, okay, to take in the food present in the surroundings. Now, how this digestion occurs in amoeba? Whenever it wants to intake the food, the pseudopodia or finger-like projections come out of its body. The pseudopodia engulf the food in, and food gets stored in the food vacuoles. So children, if you have seen in the previous slide the picture, when the amoeba gets the sense that food is nearby, what it does, it used to extend the finger-like pseudopodia and it engulf, it makes a cup-shaped structure, it engulfs the food material and which gets stored in the food vacuoles. Then it secretes some digestive juices inside the vacuoles. Now the vacuoles secrete some digestive juices that helps in digestion of the food. The amoeba then absorbs the digested food and uses it for fulfilling different life processes such as multiplication and growth. The amoeba also secretes out waste products or undigested food out of its body by the process of egestion. Clear, students? With this, I have come to the end of this presentation. So thank you so much. Before that, let's summarize what all we have discussed. Today we have discussed about small intestine, glands like liver and pancreas. We have discussed digestion in grass-eating animals, feeding and digestion in amoeba. So thank you once again for listening to me. Stay safe. See you all in the next class.